Okay, it should be setting it up. I believe we're done. Let me make sure I am muted. Good. Sometimes I don't mute it, and that's such a rookie mistake that I've learned. Just doesn't always stick in my brain. So hello everyone, and hi Shannon. So great to be chatting today. I would love to hear more about your business. And if anyone happens to be tuning in and has questions, drop them in the comments. And yeah, I'm excited. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yes. So we're going to just jump right in. So first of all, explain a little bit about what your brand is, when you started, and then we'll get into some, I'm sure I'll have a million questions. So we'll get into some other stuff.
Okay. Well, first off, we are a luxury men's grooming company, and we're based out of Pennsylvania. A little bit about my background first. When I was in college, I worked my way through school, and I did sales for high-end retail. So I worked at Todd's, I worked at Aqua de Parma, I worked at Bergdorf Goodman, and then I worked at L'Occitane. So I had all this like luxury retail experience, and then somehow I ended up with a journalism degree instead and got into writing. And
Okay.
yeah, I forgot all about my passion, which was beauty products, high-end luxury retail, consumer goods, perfumery, all that stuff. And then during COVID in 2022, I thought, I really want to start a business. And I thought, well, what can I manufacture on a small scale that wouldn't be too intense, that I could put out on the market and just see. And so, I had some ideas, and I thought, soap might be a good place to start, since I had my L'Occitane soap experience.
Right.
Yeah, so I decided to do like a shaving bar, and it was geared towards women. I thought that my customers were going to be women for some reason, and I put this soap out on the market, and my friend said it's really great for shaving. You should market it as a shaving soap. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to have shaving soaps, I need to make a men's shaving soap as well. So I put my first little tin of shaving soap, and the scent was cherry tobacco because it reminded me of my grandfather. So it was kind of like a person.
Ooh.
And I put it out on the market, and immediately people started jumping on it. There was definitely a market for just like artisan soap makers for one, but definitely with wet shaving, because during COVID, people started to change their beauty rituals, and men did too. They started paying more attention to hygiene. They started shopping online for, grooming products.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of time in the bathroom because we were all trapped in our houses. So people started collecting soaps and looking for artisans. And, there was like this whole movement, a renaissance, if you will, towards traditional men's grooming, like wet shaving. They call it wet shaving. So I found this really cool little market. And they were excited to have me. And, there was influencers that got a hold of my soap, and it just sort of took off from there. And I learned something interesting, which is that men's beauty brands get cult followings just like women's beauty brands get cult followings. So,
Yep. So it's so interesting. I worked on Gillette for about 10 years. I launched their female razor, Venus.
oh, that's
And I also worked on Gillette Series, which was the men's deodorant aftershave. And we launched a shampoo at the time, which didn't work. This was, oh my God, 20 something years ago.
wow.
It was before its time. But back then there was talk about metrosexual men and how it was about to take off and the category was going to explode. And then it just didn't. And then it didn't again. And then it didn't again. And now maybe it's starting to catch up. But I mean, it's not a surprise to me that you would start with the assumption that your products are for women because pretty much most of the beauty purchases are still women. And a lot of men use women's products because they'll find it you know,
Yeah.
in the bathroom and they just steal it from their wife, their girlfriend, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
because honestly, that's how a lot of my male customers found us is through someone else. And then they liked our products and they started buying them, you know, because I have a lot of men also who buy Masmi, but I don't target them because I just think it's easier to target a beauty lover because women are so much more engaged in beauty content.
Mhm.
I'm not sure guys are watching beauty content.
You would be surprised.
Some, some, yeah,
There's definitely a small, I wouldn't say it's like a huge thing. Like, you know, like maybe they said, oh, it's going to be this big explosion. I don't think it was. It was more like a niche. It was like
yeah.
an explosion. Um, but I definitely agree with you. Men do not shop beauty products the way that women shop beauty products. They find them probably more from like word of mouth, or it's in somebody's bathroom, or they're exposed to it in that way. So yeah, it's definitely a different type of consumer. And of course, yeah, I thought this is going to be great. It's going to be for women, but you know, honestly, having a brand that's dedicated to men is great
Yeah.
because there's not a lot of men's beauty lines out there. I mean, I could think of maybe like Kiehl's comes to mind. Maybe Aesop is kind of unisex, but it's definitely got like masculine packaging. You know, there are some men's brands out there, but there's definitely not enough of them. So I feel like there's room. There's room in this market for somebody who's dedicated to men, you know?
Well, I love that because the market is so saturated everywhere else that, you know, you're right. Like this is a little niche. And then the other one, I think, I have a friend who launched a hair care line for kids, like babies,
Oh,
toddlers, because it started as a detangling product and clean. And that is also an interesting niche because there's really very few products on the market for that.
yep.
So I think she managed to find that little white space, which there's so few of these days. It's just hard to find any white space in the market. It's challenging. Okay, very interesting. So then where's your name from? And I don't even know if we said the name of your brand yet.
Yeah.
So,
Elysian. And yeah,
okay, I was going to pronounce it Elysian, so I'm glad I didn't pronounce it. Elysian.
you're fine. Yeah, I had no idea that there were so many different ways of pronouncing
I
Elysian.
know.
It's basically like a pre-Christian concept of heaven, and I wanted to bring a little
Hmm.
bit of that, I guess, sort of pleasurable or enjoyable kind of an essence into the name and into the brand. So Elysian, like Elysian Fields, you know.
I like that. Did you have a long list of names that you kind of went through? Because naming is difficult. And then, you know, you've got to not just come up with a name that fits your concept, you have to make sure it's trademarkable.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing. So how long did that process take you?
Oh, it wasn't too long. I had like
Okay.
like maybe top three names, you know, and
Oh, wow, you're lucky. That's unusual. Because usually most people I've worked with, you know, I worked in advertising and branding forever. You know, you burn through 100 names before you find one that sticks because again, the trademark issues are so prevalent. So that's excellent.
technically it's Elysian Soap Shop is the actual full name of the brand.
Right.
So, and that's what helped me differentiate. There are a lot of Elysians out there. There's another Elysian soap and, you know, some other brands and stuff. And there's a magazine. And so, you know, but having the soap shop there helped.
Yes, no, definitely. You're right. Okay. And then what about your iconography? Because you've got some interesting, is it dragonflies? What are your, yeah. So can you kind of explain how that came about?
Yeah, I actually, when I came up with the idea for the brand, I got in contact with a friend of mine. She's in the UK, and she is a classically trained painter and
Oh,
yeah, working artist, and has, you know, a proper education in it and everything. And I said, "Can you help me come up with a logo?" And I said, "I want something that has that." Again, maybe slightly mythological, or you know, the essence of, I don't want to say airy, but heavenly, you know, something that's,
yeah.
yeah, of the air in the ether. And she came up with the dragonfly. I absolutely fell in love with it, and our whole logo. But everything is hand drawn. I don't use any sort of AI for anything. She hand draws all the artwork. So yeah, she's been with me the entire time, which is great.
yeah, so if you launch new products, I'm assuming she then continues to work on, okay, wow, that's impressive. My daughter is going to art school at Pratt, but she hasn't painted me a Masami
You've got to get.
logo. I know. It's like, dang, I got to get her on that. Maybe she can paint some seaweed for me. I don't know. Okay, so interesting. So you started with the soap. You also have fragrance. That's a very different category. So
Very different.
how did you decide to get into that? Because I feel like those are almost different skill sets as far as like chemistry goes.
Yeah, they are definitely. It's very different. I just quickly little to rewind just a little bit. When I was at L'Occitane, well, even when I was at Aqua de Parma, their fragrances are so like single note, almond,
Yeah.
basil,
Yeah.
linden, that, I would get bored on the sales floor and I would start mixing these single note perfumes together to come up with perfume stuff that would smell, unique to me. And I would layer them. It was so fun. And at that time, I remember commenting to a friend of mine. I said, I want to become a perfumer. I'm really interested in this. And she put me in touch with a friend of hers that had like a really nice perfume company, and I visited them in San Francisco. And I said, does he need an apprentice? And she said, Shannon, he runs his business so badly. I don't think he's going to be in business very much longer. Uh,
Oh,
Apparently he had all these like A-list celebrity clients and but couldn't balance his books. But anyways, that's besides
not
the point.
everybody's good at business,
No,
That's different skill sets, right?
there was no way at that time. It was probably like 2005, 2006. There was no way into that industry. The perfume industry was very gate kept at that time.
Yes, that's true. Still kind of is, but
Yeah, it still is. Yeah, unless you went to like a formal school and got training. And by
yeah.
then college, and it was like I was on my way to a writing career. So I pretty much just put that perfumery idea on the back shelf. And another thing too is I thought you had to be like a super nose. I had, in order to
Yeah.
there was just this mystique around it. So, but once I started the soap company, I started getting orders, and people were like, "Can you make a custom fragrance for this?" And so I was like, I slowly started purchasing perfume materials. And then I found Sam Macer. He teaches perfumery online. He has his own, it's called the Fragrance Foundry, but he has his own teaching platform on YouTube, and he teaches perfumery. So I just started looking at some basics. He also has an app, and I got into their Discord server, and then I met Jay. And Jay is my perfume partner, basically. So
Okay.
yeah, and he teaches perfumery in Texas. And we design every single fragrance together. Well, almost everyone. Some of them I do myself. But yeah, he was just he's very good. He's like an Encyclopedia Britannica when it comes to. He's very much in chemistry. He's very meticulous. Whereas I have a very good nose because I spent so much time around perfumes and selling perfumes that I know
Yeah.
what will sell. So
Interesting.
yeah.
So how many iterations of the fragrance have you made? Because have you found that, because that's the thing too, it's like you make something, you don't know what sticks with people necessarily. And then sometimes it's not always what you think.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah. So have you had to kind of play around with that to find that?
luckily it was very strange, but again, I don't know why COVID was such a blessing for me, but when I started blending with perfumery with Jay, he couldn't smell anything because he had COVID. And so I was,
Oh,
well, I have the materials, I'll get the materials, you just direct me and tell me what to blend together, and I'll play nose, I'll be the nose. And this worked out so beautifully because both of us um, we have very strong opinions about what's in the market right now and stuff that we don't like and problems that we see with certain colognes, especially men's colognes, because he's a man. So he has very strong opinions on
yeah.
green and like the off notes and certain trends, about aquatics. And And so, and same with me. I have a lot of, I prefer natural smelling perfumes. And I'm like, is there a market for that? Everything is so, heavy. Everyone wants room fillers, but like, I don't really like that. So it was just a lot of playing around. But for some reason, the combo, it came together very nicely. And so we'll do maybe five iterations of a cologne before I'll release it. But there's just a point. It's like, when you're cooking food and it smells like food suddenly and it's very strong, and that's how it's
Mm.
done. Like when you put something in the oven and suddenly like your whole house smells like cinnamon buns, it's like, oh, it's done. That's what a perfume does. You can actually smell when the formula has like come to a point where it's like, this is it. And it just gives you this little like, it gives you like goosebumps. And and so yeah, and then I'll usually send out samples to my customers, and they're enthusiasts about not just soap, they're enthusiasts about scent because they collect soaps, so they have different scents all over their bathroom and they have preferences, and they'll usually kind of guide me. The market will guide me as to what they like, but it really didn't take that much time or planning. It just all sort of magically came together. I'm very lucky in that way.
Wow, you are very lucky. It's because that's a challenging skill. And it's also a little bit of a black box in the sense of if you're not the one doing the blending, you don't really know, and I don't know if people realize, but fragrances don't need to be disclosed on the label in terms of what's in them.
It can just say fragrance, that's
It
it.
can just say fragrance. Now, the challenging thing for a founder or a clean beauty founder specifically is that like our fragrance is phthalate free, naturally derived, because our products are clean, but in many, many products, fragrances are a place where phthalates lurk and they don't disclose it. So, this is another area where it's like, how are you as a consumer supposed to know if a product's truly clean or not?
Well,
That's why I think going to products like ours, where we do go through the vetting process and make sure our fragrances are clean, it makes a difference. Besides, just because of, I was just going to say, like a lot of brands will say like no sulfates. That doesn't mean that there's no phthalates. It doesn't mean there's no parabens. Like the labeling is very tricky for people. So
yeah.
what do you think? How can people get us, if
Well,
they're interested in clean, how can
you
they,
because you worked at Gillette, right?
yeah,
Have a mass produced product, they're probably getting they're probably using fragrance oils or something from a third party manufacturer. They're not totally in, I'm just guessing, but they're probably not totally
yeah.
in control of their formulas. So
Sorry.
that's okay. If a consumer is looking for a clean or cleaner product, then they should probably find artisan manufacturers,
Yeah,
because all of my formulas, I know exactly what goes into all of them. I realized very quickly when I got into this space that other brands were using fragrance oils, which you don't know what's in them. It's somebody else's formula, and
right.
else is doing it's doing the compounding. So you don't know what their facility is like. It could be different batches. They could discontinue the fragrance and you're strung up, and you're like,
Yeah.
great. So I didn't like that. This is why I decided to put a toe into the perfumery, because I was like, if I'm going to be making these nice products, I should also, be controlling what's going, and the soap formula is very meticulous. Like where, what I put into it is very thought out. I was like, the fragrance should be the same. And we do use aroma chemicals because I want a full palette when I'm blending. I want to be able to recreate stuff that we don't have an essential oil for, but I also use a lot of really beautiful, expensive naturals, So, and we pay attention, of course, to, all the IFRA standards and stuff, so, yeah, that for me, it was just worth it to do it on my own. But I realize that most people probably don't have the time to teach themselves.
Well, don't have the time, don't have the nose,
Yeah.
don't have the mental capacity. I mean, it's like you're learning a completely new trade. It's not just like you're dabbling, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I've been doing it for maybe, well, we've been doing it now for 4 years. So, but it took two of us with the knowledge combined together. It would have taken me much longer to get something onto the market, I think, if I hadn't had my partner's expertise. So that,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's like I said, it's heavily gate kept perfumery for a reason, and it's expensive. The materials themselves are incredibly expensive, and then when you start to scale up, you're buying things, 10 kilos at a time, and it's a really big investment. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Interesting. So do you have now what you would consider your signature fragrance, or is the idea to keep launching new variants?
No, we are definitely known for our aquatics, and we have four different variations of that. So basically, we launched Atlantis, I think it was 2024. Then every year since then, we've done a variation of Atlantis because it did so well. It does so well. It outsells everything. So we did an Atlantis Blue. We did an Atlantis Deep. Atlantis Deep is this one that I keep touching, but this is the dark aquatic version of it, which is it's
Mm.
funny. Everybody came out with a dark aquatic in the last couple of years, but we've had this one for a while. And then Atlantis Frost, so we've been like playing around with it because it's our most popular line. But yeah, we're known for our aquatics, and but even when we veer away from the aquatics, our perfumes definitely have a DNA to them. We use a lot of the same base materials every single time, so you could recognize it if you know if you smelled a few of our perfumes in a row, our fragrances, you would be able to go, oh, okay, I get it. There's a certain amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay. And then I imagine someone like you, you're constantly iterating, coming up with ideas and finding inspiration to come up with new products. So are you working on anything new?
Yeah, actually. So we launched our Roman Emperor series a couple years
Love
ago.
that.
Yeah, and I draw a lot of inspiration from, history and mythology, and I remember there was this sort of like internet meme going around for a little while, like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And it turns out people think about it all the time. So I thought that was really funny, is that there's always been this obsession with the Roman Empire. And so I took that, this is my Roman Empire meme, and I was like, we should do Emperor series. So we have Aurelius, we've done Caesar, Constantine. All these have different fragrances to them. Aurelius is still very, very popular. That's definitely one of our signature scents. And we have Hadrian coming up, Caligula, and Nero. So we've got a couple of the bad guys.
Ah,
So yeah, those
I
Nero.
like that. You got the bad boys too.
Yeah, I gotta have the bad ones. So Nero, we're thinking of this like smoky theme because Rome was burning, of course, you know. So it might be like a winter fragrance, probably.
I love that. I love the storytelling that you've imbued in your products because that's another thing that so many founders don't take time to think through.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that can kind of make or break your brand. You know,
Yeah.
if you really have that kind of, because people like to get involved with it and they like to understand where the thought process was and how it was
Yeah.
created and all that stuff. And they don't want to just think that, it was a random, just pull the name out of a hat, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, well then, let's conclude. We've been talking for a while, which has been great because all of a sudden I'm like, wow, that's a half an hour has gone by. Let's just finish with a little bit more about where people can find you, maybe what you're focused on in the next few months. I know I'm going to see you in New York soon in September 17th. We're doing an event at the Palace for anyone who wants to join from 5 to 8. But where else can people find you?
Yeah. Well, besides, the Palace Hotel, in New York City, there is a great little old-timey pharmacy called Pasteur Pharmacy, and
Mm.
they carry a lot of our soaps and aftershaves and some of the fragrances as well. Online is definitely the Razor company. They carry a lot of our products. They're usually pretty fully stocked with my stuff. And then if you're in Europe, we're going to be at Agent Shave UK. So this for my European customers, like they're always like, "Can I get it in Europe? Can I get it in Europe?" So we just found a distributor in the UK. So I'll be
Oh, great.
yeah, and then China and Hong Kong is VLab and TriCat are my distributors over there. So, but yeah, you could just if you look on Google, there will be a plethora of
Yes.
patients.
And what's your social handle if people want to follow you?
It's Elysian Soap Shop, and it's the same on Instagram and it's the same on TikTok.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Shannon, it's so interesting chatting with you. Thank you for making the time.
Yeah.
I will share this out. I always encourage people to post questions
Great.
and if we do get questions, we can always do a follow-up,
Okay.
video, whatever. And I will see you soon.
Yeah. Awesome. I will see you in September.
Okay, take care.
All right.